quality education through innovative and interactive learning process. First of all, I'd like to welcome the chief of today's session, Dr. Subramani, Head Department of English, the Majuro College, to make his valuable lessons here. Thank you, sir, for spending your time with us. It's time to welcome the Honorable Secretary, Dr. Ashok Kumar sir, for his support and positive words. Then I would like to welcome our representative, young, vibrant, and energetic director of our institution, Mr. Shakti Prakash, to grace the occasion. I would like to welcome our beloved principal, Dr. Rajesh Verima. Welcome you. Then expressive and talented academic being Mrs. Sendu Priyadarshini ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am. The program is not successful without you. It's none other than our beloved and respected Dean of Arts, Dr. Shivanti ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am. I would like to welcome Dr. Pratipha, Head Department of English, and the co-coordinators who are constantly working to make this function a grand section, Dr. Meena and Dr. Neena ma'am. Welcome you, ma'am. Last but not least, I would like to welcome my colleagues, friends to take part in this session. Thank you, Anjali.
Thank you, ma'am, for your warm welcome. I'm glad to invite today's chairperson, Dr. M. Meena, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to introduce the guest speaker.
Good afternoon to all. I'm profusely overjoyed to take this opportunity to introduce the guest speaker of this language session on the nuances of national education policy, Dr. Subramani, to the teaching fraternities. In fact, Sir merely requires any introduction as he carries an enriched profile. Sir is one of the leading academicians and the head of the Department of English in the Majuro College, that is dwelling the crown of the Temple City. To start with the success journey of our chief guest, I would like to mention about his funded project titled Sri Aurobindo's Contribution to the Knowledge of the Vedas, Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita, which is backed up by the Indian Council of Social Sciences and Research, New Delhi. Besides, he's a wide-read author, both nationally and internationally. His authoring acumen is quite astounding. He has authored 11 books that predominantly centers around Vedic literature and ancient India. He has also written one novel and a short story collection. Sir has been the resource person for numerous lectures that throw light on the significance of Advaita and Ramana Maharishi and Sri Aurobindo at Benares Hindu University and IIAS Shimla. Sir has his PhD on Sri Aurobindo. Sir, he is a member of the Senate of Madurai Kamaraj University and he is a member of MHRD Granting Aid Committee.
Vanakkam, everyone. Are you able to hear me? This National Education Policy 2020 is a landmark in the history of Indian education. India has the oldest education system in the world. Now, after independence, we had the famous Radhakrishnan Committee. After Radhakrishnan Committee, the Kothari Committee came and so many other committees came. Now, this earlier committees focused on access to education because ruled for more than 300 years. So we suffered a lot because of the colonial and socially. You must have heard of the famous book by Dharampal Ji, The Beautiful Tree. Dharampal Ji, in his book, The Beautiful Tree, says, using East India Company records, he has proved that India was a highly educated country before the arrival of the British. Even regarding Tamil Nadu,
Sir, it is not audible.
he says 85% according to the East India Company report. After independence, we are striving again to get back the original grandeur of India. So this national education policy, because India has the greatest population of the youth in the world. China has an aging population, but the population of the youth in India is the highest in the world. So we have the greatest human resource in the world. Even now, if you go to America, top positions are manned by Indians. The doctoral degrees are done mostly by the Indians and the Chinese. And India matters a lot now in the world. So let us see what this national education policy speaks about: education, culture, language, literature. Now, we know that in the 21st century there are so many aspirational goals. Youngsters have a lot of aspiration. The national education policy has made education extremely flexible. With the use of the credit system, you can shift from one institution to another, one part of India to another part of India, from one central university to another central university, one college to another college. And education is highly interdisciplinary in this. This rigid demarcation between arts and science, these boundaries have been broken in the national educational policy. A student of humanities can take up courses in sciences. A student of science can take up courses in the arts. So we know that recent civil states, the toppers of the Union Public Service Commission examination, the IAS, IPS, and those allied services, 1/3 or 1/4 up to 1972 was from Tamil Nadu, Madras University products. But now we have gone down. So it is time for us to give importance to interdisciplinary studies, so that enables a student from science to study humanities. And when a student of science, it will equip the students to face the challenges in life. In America, they call it the cafeteria system. When you go to a canteen, you can order anything you want. Similarly, education will be such. If I want to study something related to hospitality and management while studying literature or philosophy or social, it will be very flexible, because these days competition is heavy. We cannot have education policy has also given importance to critical thinking. Instead of studying by rote, critical thinking is encouraged. It helps to build the social, ethical, and emotional properly. So this policy helps in building that, so that there is holistic learning. So that there is holistic learning. I will read out this passage. The rich heritage of ancient and eternal, the National Education Policy 2020, page 4 states, the rich heritage of ancient and eternal Indian knowledge and thought has been the guiding light for this policy. The pursuit of knowledge, jnana, wisdom, pragya, and truth, satya, was always considered in Indian thought and philosophy as the highest human goal. The aim of education in ancient India was preparation for life. It was not just the acquisition of knowledge, but the goal of education was the complete realization and liberation of the self. So self-realization was the goal of knowledge, of the education in ancient India. Realization of the self, not just acquisition of the knowledge. So the ancient texts, the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, laid emphasis on self-realization, and not just emphasis on acquisition of knowledge. They were world-class, the National Education Policy states, they were world-class institutions like Takshashila, backgrounds and countries. There were great, see, ancient India, Tamil Nadu had ancient universities. Ennairam, near Kanchipuram, was a university set up by Rajaraja Chola. Kanchipuram itself was a great center of learning. Kashmir was a great center of learning. Scholars came from Kashmir to Kanchipuram. Scholars migrated from Kanchipuram to Kashmir. Many scholars came to Madurai, Chidambaram. They were centers of knowledge. The Indian education system produced great scholars such as Aryabhatta, Bhaskaracharya, Brahmagupta, Shankara. Knowledge center. People came from, but what happened to that? Are you able to hear now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you able to hear now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
There's a lot of emphasis on languages. Are you able to hear now?
Yes, sir. This is audible.
There's a lot of emphasis. The point I had mentioned previously, for those who missed it, is this was the land of Nalanda and Takshashila and great universities. People came from all over the world for study and research. Tamil Nadu itself had great universities. Rajaraja Chola established an university in Ennairam near Kanchipuram. Kanchipuram itself was a great center of learning. Scholars migrated from Kanchipuram to Kashmir to study. Scholars migrated from Kashmir to Kanchipuram to study. Kashmir had ancient scholars who migrated from Madurai to Kashmir to study under Abhinav Gupta. Some scholars came from, when Kashmir was invaded, many scholars migrated from Kashmir to the south. Point number 2 is, a lot of emphasis is there in the national education policy on languages. One of the goals of this policy is Ek Bharat Shrestha Bharat. In this, students will learn about the rich inter-influences and differences. So languages, see, Sanskrit influenced all Indian languages including Tamil. Tamil influenced all languages including Sanskrit. Sanskrit is a great classical language. Tamil is a great Sanskrit classical language. Let us learn all the classical languages. Let us be enriched. Many words that we use in Tamil are from Sanskrit. Sri Aurobindo studied Tamil in order to know the Rig Veda completely, because there are some Tamil words in the Rig Veda, he says. So, in order to promote national integration, because Bhakti, emerged from the Bhakti tradition, came from Tamil Nadu. Sri Viluputtur Andal, from Tamil Nadu, Bhakti was born in our state. From here it went, from Andal, Sri Viluputtur, it went to Karnataka, Andhra. So many saints emerged in Andhra, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, finally Lal Ded in Kashmir. It started in Srivilliputtur with Andal, it culminated with Lal Ded, the great mystic in Kashmir, female mystic in Kashmir. So this national education policy endeavors to teach us about the unity of India, the cultural unity of India, the linguistic unity of India, and even the tribal languages, tribal traditions are studied. And the phonetics. See, there are endangered language also. They have to be preserved. This education policy, we all know how Macaulay, who introduced education policy during British period, looked down upon Indian languages and literatures. He wanted to promote Western culture, Western tradition, Western European languages. He wanted Indians to de-Indianize themselves. As a response to that, Sri Aurobindo, he wrote a famous book, Foundations of Indian Culture, in 1914, in which he
Excuse me, sir, it is not audible. So kindly check your internet connection.
art, painting. If you read the works of writings of Swami, if you read the writings of Swami Vivekananda, they are so inspiring. He has given us. Now is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Is it audible?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Vivekananda's writings,
Yes, sir.
Subramania Bharati's writings, Vallalal's writings, the Bhakti tradition of Tamil Nadu, the Alvas and Nayanmars. Now, here you say the national education policy says Indian language is a beautiful cultural heritage of India and the diversity of India. The soul of India is one, but there are sub-souls. So we have to study the unity of India and the diversity of India. And then it says the importance, relevance, and beauty of the classical languages and literature of India. Sanskrit possesses a classical literature that is greater in volume than of Latin, Greek put together. Sanskrit literature contains vast treasures of mathematics, philosophy, grammar, music, politics, Arthashastra, Nyaya Shastra, Sardarshanas, the 6 systems of philosophy, Mimamsa, Yoga, Vaisheshika, Vedanta, so many systems of philosophy we have had. And the South produced the 3 great acharyas, Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, and Tamil Nadu has contributed so much to Sanskrit literature. And Nilaganda Dikshidhar from Madurai, Appaya Dikshidhar from Tamil Nadu, they are supposed to be the greatest 17th century Sanskrit scholars of India. And Sanskrit literature has contributed to music, politics, philosophy, grammar, mathematics, medicine, architecture, metallurgy, drama, poetry, storytelling. They are all known as Sanskrit knowledge systems, written by people of various religions as well as non-religious people. Sanskrit will thus be offered at all levels, but it is optional. It is not compulsory. Sanskrit is optional. Hindi is optional. We have to study 3 languages, but they are optional. We can choose any language, any Indian language, and English. 2 Indian languages, and English will be taught after 5th grade. So it is not, nothing is imposed in this. Hindi is not imposed, Sanskrit is not imposed. It is purely optional. If we don't want to study Hindi, we can study Telugu or Kannada or Malayalam. We can study Tamil, and then along with Tamil, we can study even French. We can study French and Kannada. There is option to study European languages along with the Indian languages. So let us know about the sister languages of India, and let us know the European languages also. So Sanskrit will thus be offered, including as an option in the 3-language formula. It will be taught in ways that are interesting, experimental, as well as contemporary. So education should be fun. Learning should be creative. It should not be rote learning. It should not be purely examination oriented. So Sanskrit knowledge systems will be promoted. Tamil also, there's a lot of mention about Tamil. Tamil is also a classical language. Tamil also has contributed so much. And the national education, classical languages and literatures like Tamil. And phonetics, pronunciation, Sanskrit textbooks at the foundational and middle school level may be written in simple standard Sanskrit to teach Sanskrit through Sanskrit and make its study truly enjoyable. And India also has to these classical languages. Pali, so many languages in India, so many streams of thought in India, so many cultures in India, but India is one, he said. We are essentially one. We must have profound unity, belief in the unity of India from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. That is essential to teach the youth of this country to be good citizens of this country, to be disciplined citizens of this country, to love this nation. So the next generation will want to be enriched by India's extensive and beautiful classical literature. So apart approaches will be there. Written literatures, cultural traditions, and knowledge will be encouraged. And there will be options to study for 2 years to study a classical will also be offered at the secondary level. For students to learn about the cultures, we must be proud to be Tamils. We must be proud to be. We are essentially one family. The entire human race is one family. Vasudeva Kudumbakam. So all these, are meant to make the students face the challenges of the globe. And digital literacy, physical education, fitness, wellness, sports, study of aesthetics, scientific temper, development of evidence-based thinking, gender sensitivity, sensitivity towards endangered tribal languages, tribal traditions, leadership, puzzles. So education, see R.K. Narayan in his famous novel, the English teacher says modern education is meaningless. It should be creative. And section 4 of the ancient India and its contributions to modern India and its successes and challenges, and a clear sense of India's future aspirations with regard to education, health, environment, etc. Indian knowledge system, yoga, architecture, agriculture, engineering, linguistic literature, sports, games, as well as governance and policy, Arthashastra, the secondary school as an elective. Competitions may be held in schools for learning various topics and subjects through fun and indigenous games. Video documentaries on inspirational luminaries of India. There will be the students will be exposed to video documentaries on inspirational luminaries of India, ancient and modern, in science and beyond. So many others who inspired us, like Lokmanya Tilak. They've all inspired us so much. They are the luminaries of this nation. And students will be encouraged to visit different states as part of cultural exchange programs. Students will be encouraged to visit different states so that they get to an idea of national integration, this unity in diversity. The students will be taught at a young age the importance of doing what's right. And what is right, they must be told to be good human beings and will be given a logical framework for making ethical decisions. In later years, this will be expanded along with themes of cheating, violence, plagiarism, littering, tolerance, equality, empathy, with a view to enabling children to embrace moral, ethical values in conducting one's life. Traditional Indian values and all basic human and constitutional values will be taught. Traditional Indian values and all basic human and constitutional values will be taught, such as Seva, Ahimsa, Swachhata, Satya, Nishkama Karma, Shanti, sacrifice, tolerance, diversity, pluralism, righteous conduct, gender sensitivity, respect for elders, respect for all the people and their inherent capabilities regardless of background, respect for environment, helpfulness, courtesy, patience, forgiveness, empathy, compassion, patriotism, democratic outlook, integrity, responsibility, justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. See, Tirukural contains so much. If only we study the Tirukural properly, then we can be very good human beings. If we study the Bhagavad Gita properly, we can be good human beings. If we can study the great saints of Tamil Nadu properly, if we can study mystic from all religious traditions, Hindu, Muslim, Christian saints who have taught us to be good human beings, who have taught us the right path, then how wonderful society will be. There will be peace, there will be compassion, there will be understanding, there will be no ego, there will be no jealousy. Students must be taught to avoid alcohol, tobacco and other drugs. See, cinema is poisoning the youth. Media is poisoning the youth. We have to provide them good education so that they are able to discriminate between good and bad. So the children will have opportunity to read Panchatantra, Jataka, Hitopadesha and other fun fables and inspiring tales from Indian tradition and learn about their influences on global literatures. They will also study about the Indian Constitution. Basic training will be given in health, preventive health, mental health, good nutrition, personal and public hygiene, disaster response, first aid. They will be taught about Indian ethos, Indian culture, heritage, customs, language, philosophy, geography, ancient and contemporary knowledge, societal and scientific needs, indigenous and traditional ways of learning. Stories, arts, games, sports will be chosen as much as possible to be rooted in the Indian and local geographical tradition. See, in Madurai we have the famous Meenakshi Amman temple. How many of us know the legacy of the temple? How many poets this temple has inspired? Look at the architecture of the temple. Can you construct such a temple now? How advanced? Look at the big temple, Tanjore, Periya Kovil, Tanjavur, Rajaraja Cholan, Rajendra Cholan. Sangam இலக்கியம் வளர்ந்ததே மதுரையில. இந்த நூல்கள் பத்தி நம்மளுக்கு தெரியுமா? எவ்வளவு ஆன்மீகம் இருக்கின்றன அதுல. அதை பத்தி நம்ம படிக்கணும். அதே மாதிரி in North India, in Sanskrit literature, different Hindi literature, Malayalam literature, Tamil literature, Kannada literature, Telugu literature, all these are rich, so rich. Bengal has produced great writers, thinkers, Assam. And so that this
Excuse me, sir. That is not audible. Sir?
each student is unique. Are you able to hear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to hear? Then this separation between arts and science, vocational, academic, and non-academic spheres, this separation must go. There should be flexibility. There should be conceptual understanding rather than rote learning. Creative and critical thinking should be encouraged. Ethics and human and constitutional values should be promoted. Multilingualism and the power of language must be promoted. We must know some. should be used, but there should be respect for diversity. Abhinav Gupta, Ananda Vardhana, there was a Sharda University in Kashmir. Once Kashmir fell down to the invaders' sword, then Kanjipuram was promoted as the headquarters of learning in India. So there should be rootedness and pride in India. Its rich, diverse, ancient and modern knowledge systems and traditions. And philanthropists must be roped in so that scholarships are given for the deserving students from downtrodden sections. We must have an educational system rooted in, because India is a treasure trove. Pakistan was part of ancient India. Afghanistan was part of ancient India. They still have huge of Indian cultural tradition and culture and traditions. Be promoted. Preservation and promotion of India's cultural wealth must be considered a high priority. I have visited Ajanta and Ellora. They are amazing specimens of Indian architecture. Ajanta and Ellora, and the different Buddhist sites in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Nalanda I have visited. Rajgir I have visited. Unfortunately, Takshashila is in Pakistan. So it is not easy for Indians to visit Takshashila. But it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Kashmir, no? Matan, no, North Kashmir, the Sun Temple, still there, though in ruins. So we should study the history of Kashmir, the history of Assam, the writers who have emerged from there. The preservation and promotion of India's cultural wealth must be considered a high priority for the country, as it is truly important for the nation's identity as well as for its economy. The promotion of Indian arts and culture is important. The promotion of Indian arts and culture is important, not only for the nation, but also for the individual. Cultural awareness and expression are among the major cultural identity and self-esteem. Cultural awareness and expression are important contributors, both the individual as well as societal well-being. The arts form a major medium for imparting culture. The arts, besides strengthening cultural identity, arts of all kinds must be offered to students at all levels of education, starting with early childhood care and education. Language is linked to arts and culture. Different languages see the world differently. So there should be the tone, the perception of experience and familiarity inherent in conversations among speakers of a common language are a reflection and record of a culture. Culture is encased in our languages. Culture is encased in our languages. Art in the form of literature, plays. So this national education policy endeavors to, it says that the students must be taken on tours to different parts of country to appreciate the diversity, culture, traditions, and knowledge of different parts of India. So the scheme Ek Bharat, Shrestha Bharat will be implemented. 100 tourist destinations in the country will be identified, where educational institutions, these destinations, scientific augmenting their knowledge about, guide them. We should develop suitable candidates who can heritage the sites. They should be virtual. Now, national education policy says Sanskrit should be mainstreamed with strong offerings in statistics, astronomy, philosophy, yoga. Sanskrit universities should be set up. Multidisciplinary institutions of higher learning should be set up. Departments of Sanskrit that conduct teaching and understanding interdisciplinary research on Sanskrit and Sanskrit knowledge systems will be established by national education policy. And Sanskrit will become a natural part of the holistic multidisciplinary higher education if a student so chooses. So Sanskrit teachers in large numbers will be professionalized across the country in mission mode. And India will also expand its institutes and universities studying all class, not just Sanskrit. There's emphasis on all classical languages of India and the literatures, including Tamil, Kannada, Telugu. And universities dedicated to languages will become multidisciplinary. All Indian languages, including classical, tribal, and endangered languages. There are languages which are dying. There are only few people conversing, especially the tribal languages. Just mentioned in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India will be given importance. Academies will be established consisting of some of the greatest scholars and native speakers to promote these languages. Dictionaries will be disseminated languages and their associated rich local arts and culture. And people from across the country will be invited to contribute to these efforts by adding relevant material into these platforms. Universities and their research teams will work with each other and communities across the country towards enriching such platforms. And the main concept in national education policy is the emphasis given here on Indian cultural traditions, Indian knowledge traditions, and integrating ancient Indian wisdom with modern technology, with modern knowledge, integrating the best in the West and the best in the East, and creating a holistic learning. It should not be just learning ancient India alone. Ancient Indian tradition should be integrated with modern Western and Indian cultural and scientific systems. West and East should be integrated. Ancient and modern should be integrated. It is not just promoting Sanskrit, but also the other great languages of India, including Tamil. It is a great classical language. We are so proud to be Tamil. National education policy has given importance to languages like Tamil, which are ancient. Our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi keeps repeating in all platforms that all languages have emerged from Tamil. Oldest language in the Sanskrit. The Tamil is Tulkapiyam, and Sangam literature. Sanskrit is the language of the Vedas, Upanishads, the Mahabharata, Ramayana, like Kalidasa. So we must know everything. This is a national education policy seeks to promote national integration, love for the nation, love for the languages of India, the literatures of India. We must be deeply rooted in the cultural traditions of India. At the same time, we must know other cultural traditions. We must study European languages. We must study European history. And we must integrate that with our culture. We must not be swept off. We must integrate it. We must assimilate it. That is the genius of India. Sri Aurobindo, as we all know, he edited the journal Arya and Pondicherry between 1914 and 1921. That in Renaissance in India, Foundations of Indian Culture, he is given so much emphasis on the cultural traditions of India, on the genius of India. And then, in the journal Bande Madam and Karma Yogin, edited in between 1906 and 1908, he has written in a preface to national integration, the importance to integrate the West with the East, and to teach the children to love India, Mother India, as Sri Aurobindo called us, Swami Vivekananda. Sister Nivedita said that moment the word India was mentioned, Vivekananda used to weep. He loved India a lot. So was Sri Aurobindo, so was Subramanian Bharati, so was Chidambaram Pillai, so was so many people, so many luminaries from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from present day Peshawar to Dhaka in Bangladesh. That was the India of those times. So many sacrificed for this nation. This is an ancient nation. Thousands of years we have survived. We will survive for thousands more years. Let us love this land. Let us appreciate this land. The greatest tribute that we can pay to this land is to know our legacy, our heritage. So this national education policy is a tribute to Mother India. It is a salute to this great civilization which has no parallel anywhere in the world. I thank the man. This session, I hope, would sow the seeds for us to understand the national education policy better, so that the prejudices are removed, so that this is utilized to create a great India and a great Tamil Nadu. I thank you all for this opportunity. I look forward to the questions. Hello? கேட்கலாம் நேரத்துலையும் கேட்க தெரியும்.
Students kindly ask
மதுரையிலே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா questions, please.
Sir,
Yes.
so how long will it take for this policy to reach people, especially students?
It will take towards few years, 2 or 3 years. But depends upon the cooperation among the states. In some states have started all these already. In some northern states, all these have started. So cooperation is also required. But within 10 years, all this will be a reality. 5 to 6 years, we can see a lot of progress.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think your clear lecture left no questions. I'm sure the session was very informative. Sir has rightly stressed over how national education policy paved the way for multidisciplinary education, critical thinking, and is going to be a game changer for the future of education system in India. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful session. Next, I call upon Mrs. G. Rajalakshmi, Assistant Professor, Department of English, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. Gratitude is the best attitude. It is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others. Today, I take this opportunity for making this FDP successful. On behalf of Mangerkarasi College of Arts and Science for Women, Department of English, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the guest speaker today, Dr. Subramoni, Head Department of English, Madura College, for taking his precious time out and consenting to be the guest speaker and making this FDP interesting and meaningful. Sir, your words really helped us to know more about the educational policies of ancient India, how the pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and truth was always considered in Indian thought and philosophy as the highest human good. We got better understanding of the nuances of the present national education policy also. Thank you, sir. I wish to express my gratitude to our Secretary, Dr. Ashok Kumar, sir, and our Director, Shakti Pranay, sir, for providing encouragement and unfaltering support at every point of time. Next, I would like to thank our beloved Dean of Academics, Chandra Priyadarshini ma'am, and our respected Principal, Dr. Rajeshwari ma'am, for your guidance and motivation in all our endeavors. We have been fortunate to be assisted by our Dean of Arts, Dr. S. Shiganti ma'am, and our head of the department, Dr. E. Pratibha ma'am. Thank you for all your hard work and guidance. I also thank all the faculties for their cooperation. My deep sense of thanks and appreciation to all the participants who were live with us and attended this FDP with great enthusiasm. You made this event a great success. Thank you, Onanjal, present here.
Dear participants, we shared the feedback link in the chat box. Next time also. Thank you again for joining us.